You are now listening to Radio HAVN.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us for yet again another episode over here at Radio HAVN. We appreciate the support, the feedback, the comments, the likes, the shares, the subscribers that are joining us from early, as this is a brand new podcast that we're bringing to you guys where so many ideas, so many people we want to interview, so many people we want to talk to, we want to witness and see how they showcase their skills, hear their hot takes, hear their opinions, their experiences, their upbringings, their downfalls, their success stories, and everything and anything in between. Today's a little bit different, okay? We do still have a special guest who's also not a special guest. Like, he's special, but not necessarily a guest, because we get to showcase someone who normally is behind the camera, in front of the camera, that you guys will get a chance to see in front of the camera a little bit more. I like to make sure that I give people their flowers and give them a nice little introduction. So just like I did with everybody else that you guys have seen so far, I have to do with this one because this is a bro. This is a homie. This is a very talented homie at that. I first met him. It's been a couple of years. I'm not going to give timeline because remembering that right now will have me doing math and numbers, and this is not an equation show. But when I met him, this dude was radiating talent from literally the first couple sentences that we spoke to each other. Then we started hanging out together a little bit more, and it was just creative juices flowing. It was vibes. It was energy. And if I were to use one word to describe him, even though there's a lot of words I could use to describe him, I would say that word would be ambitious as hell from the day I met him. And today, even more ambitious. Like, you got to put some exclamation points on there, capitalize it, italicize it, and make it bold as well, too. And the underline is just slowly increasing over time because he went from one studio down to a new studio, which we're going to hear about. And since realistically, I am just here to let people talk and just ask some questions and bring you guys the culture. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, producer, engineer, sound master, the list goes on and on and on of accolades. But over here at Radio HAVN, the curator, the creator, the producer, cameraman, ladies and gentlemen, TREMO!
Yo, what's going on, guys? What's going on? Feels good to be here.
Feels good to be in front of the camera.
Yeah, I like being on the camera sometimes.
Yeah, he has a pretty face to be on camera, so he can say that and do that a lot more confidently. Me, I'm still working on it. I'm on my skincare, all that other stuff.
But you're doing good on camera. You're doing good.
Yeah?
I think so.
Progress. I'm still trying to be camera ready. I'm used to DJing and being on camera. But first and foremost, how you feeling?
I feel good. I'm very grateful to be here. Very grateful to have this studio, this space, all these curated things that we're putting together for the culture, for the community,
It's got to be interesting and a rewarding feeling to, I guess, now not only talk about these things, but actually be living in that moment too as well.
Oh, yeah. Now, there's been a roller coaster of events to get here, for sure.
And I've witnessed a decent amount. That is true to the actual T. Quite literally. If you guys knew the amount of man hours, the amount of blood, sweat, and tears this dude puts into his craft, into his work, whether that be visually speaking, from content creation to making and releasing music, having to acquire skills like content creation, video editing, graphic design, construction, quite literally construction, building. And
2 studios now at this point.
2 studios this man has built, okay? Whilst also just managing time to just live a normal life, where he can just go and have lunch or dinner with a friend or
family
with family.
Time is important, very important.
All that stuff. It's a lot. It is quite literally a lot. So let's give a little bit. Let's start with a little bit of a backstory. Let's start from where the seed was planted and then blossom into the flower, into the tree, and all that other stuff. So before we get to us, let's start with you as an individual. Let's give the people a little bit of TREMO history. Where did TREMO start? How did that start? Give them the foundation.
All right. So I'd say I started when I was young, in high school. I was into, playing instruments. My dad was very instrumental in my music career, I would say, today. He started me playing drums. We had a drum set up in the house, and he got me another one. So we had a whole drum room in the house that was dedicated to just playing drums. So me and him would do drum battles. We'd go back and forth. He'd play something, then I'd play something, and he taught me a lot of my rhythm there. From there, I fell in love with music. Throughout high school, I was in jazz band, wind ensemble. I did everything music you could. I played saxophone. That's where I learned all my improv and pretty much a lot of what I kind of put into music now, just obviously different genres. Then I guess somewhere along the lines in high school, I was actually a competitive swimmer. I swam for all of high school, very, very competitive, traveling all over junior nationals, you name it. And that was kind of like my life. I was a swimmer, but I always did music. I was in all the extracurriculums, all those classes and stuff like that. So over time, I guess, junior year or even sophomore year probably, I started getting into music production. From there, it just kind of snowballed. And I was like, oh, shoot, I could create something, record it, and, that whole process of beat making and everything. And my uncle was living with us at the time. He had gotten me FL Studios. And, so from there, I was just mind blown. Oh, and I got to give props to Ryan Davidoff. Ryan Davidoff is a good friend of mine, and he was actually the first to show me music production around this time. And he was using Logic, and I was just mind blown. And I was programming like drums and stuff like that for some of the songs that he was doing. And we wound up working together on a couple of things, and I was just mind blown. And then that's when I got FL Studios. So from there, I just kept going. I started recording some rappers in high school. We had a little group going, and I just started realizing that, oh man, there's a lot of work that goes in. There's a lot of work that goes into the recording aspect of things, in terms of trying to sound good. You think that it's as simple as just get a microphone and start recording. And to a certain extent, of course, there's levels to production. Anyone could just hop on GarageBand, make a quick loop, and then record over it. But if you want it to actually sound really good, there's, as we all know, there's a lot more to it. And that's pretty much where I started, probably around junior year, where I started recording these artists and making beats for them. It started off as just me making beats, and then, we didn't have money, so we didn't have a recording studio to go to spend all this money to have somebody to do that. So, from using the software, I realized, I could record them. I had my Focusrite, my Scarlett 2i2, a little AT20 microphone. And from there, I just started recording them, making the beats, producing them, diving into auto-tune and how to make them sound good and everything. Even started doing music videos for them. Then I did do Berklee College of Music. Actually, you probably don't know that. I did do that for like 2 semesters after high school, and dropped out because I was like, they're taking forever to just teach me things when I could just go on YouTube University, as we talked about. Yeah. And just
shout out YouTube.
Yeah.
For real.
I mean, from there, it was just a snowball effect of just learning and learning and learning. Dropped out from that program because I didn't feel like I was benefiting, or I guess learning as fast as I could be. So yeah, I just kept going from there. I got the opportunity to, I guess, get my own studio. My dad had helped me. We were doing another location in Levittown. That didn't wind up coming into fruition. There was a bunch of politics and stuff involved with that. It wasn't just a recording studio. He was trying to do a venue, and I was trying to just bring more of the production aspect to things. But yeah, he was still very instrumental, in that, of course. He doesn't have a production background. He has a music background, playing drums and stuff like that. And he's very knowledgeable on all the equipment and so forth. So that definitely spiked me into getting to learn a lot more things through that process. Fast forward, opened up a location in Freeport, which was Rage House. I ran that recording studio for 3 years, built the whole thing with him, from the floor to the ceiling, the walls, just, building a soundproof room, in-wall speakers, diving into, all the cable management
2
and
studio rooms.
oh yeah.
And how old were you when that happened? That's like a key thing that like I think people would be kind of shocked to actually hear.
Well, I'm 24 now, and this is going on like my 4th year of doing this, like I guess, as a career and making money in it. So I was pretty much fresh out of high school, probably a year in when all this started happening. In Rage House, I was probably like 21 and a half, or 22, roughly, probably 21.
And opening a studio, like
Yeah.
let that sink in for a second.
Yeah, so it was a lot of work. There was a lot of risk on my end. I was hustling. I did construction to make quick money. They were paying by the hour, and I just funneled all of my money into rent, into buying things, equipment, and so forth. The time, and slowly but surely, started gaining clientele. Started doing pretty well locally. And I've just been making it work ever since, been trying to do some community-based stuff, even since Rage House. We did beats and bars. We did a couple of things. It gets tough to do a lot of these things because, if you're one person and you're trying to do, make your own music, be your own artist, help other artists, be an engineer, be someone who can mix and master music, all these boxes and video content. And on top of that, I built websites on the side and so forth, anything to figure out how to make money. But, I guess through all that, I wound up here, I found this location in Baldwin, and now we're at Haven Studios. This is kind of like, pretty much, a snowball effect of everything that has been, and it's refined. And I think I think we're here and ready to roll, find new artists, and just build a big community.
And like even in the time frame that like we've known each other, like to see how like much bigger that snowball has gotten, it's honestly crazy. And also I gotta say like it's inspiring because like I'm older, but like can't say necessarily like I've done or have accolades. Like I mean I have my own, but like in terms of like opening a studio and having the space and building that, like the road for success is different for everybody. So like for one, definitely applaud that for sure.
Thank you.
And also for all the viewers and listeners, we met back at Rage House, back when he was still at Rage House.
The host.
Through another mutual friend of ours that kind of brought me in and introduced. And then from there it just kind of clicked and it like never lost. Where we did old content, like the beats and bars stuff, where I was hosting that between different rappers. We were there creating different things. I would show him like DJ tricks, he would show me producer tricks, and we would just kind of bounce ideas off each other because in terms of being a creative, like the word creative itself is such an umbrella term. You can be creative in so many different ways. You could be a sculptor. You could be a poet. You could be a chef. You could be a graphic designer. You could be an architect. You can be a DJ. You can be a producer. You could be an engineer. You can design lights and just be a lighting tech or pyrotechnics tech. So there's so much under that you can still mix and share because they all coincide with one another in some way, shape, or form. There's a bridge in all those different lanes of just being a creative in general. And that was one thing that gave a sense of community that started at Rage House, and now being over here at Radio Haven has only been emphasized to the T in sense of just keeping that sense of community and like-mindedness of sharing and bonding from one creative to the next, regardless of even if you guys aren't doing the same thing. Like we both do different things a lot of the time, but a lot of those things seem to intertwine like very, very heavily, which is
100%.
really, really dope.
Let me not mistake, like, I was more on the production side, but you definitely helped bring me into the DJ side as well. When I was watching you scratch and you were showing me stuff, and I had my I had just gotten the RX3. What did I have before that? I can't even remember the controller.
You had an SRT too.
Yes, I had an SRT.
An SRT
so yeah,
1000.
I had the SRT.
And then you had like
before that was the SB3.
SB3. Yep.
Yeah, that was the first deck I was using.
Yeah.
And then the RX3 came last. That's what I'm using now. But I remember even just getting the RX3 after the SRT, and you were just showing me how to manage crates and keep that stuff organized, and that's kind of what also brought me into the DJ world outside of production and everything else I was doing, where it's now that kind of bridges into the house music and everything we're doing.
And you quite literally did that because like you said, like upbringings wise, like you were doing drums and you were doing like anything you could do in music production, saxophone, and now it's like you saw like, okay, cool, DJing, there's that too. I could be creative with that, and there's music involved. Boom, you're doing that now too as well. And it was just so sick to see that and be able to help out with that, like, and just share. And essentially, that's actually a solid point. For everyone watching, for everyone listening, when me and Tremo discussed envisionment and things that we wanted to push for this show and what we wanted to expose was quite literally that right there. Like that storyline, that basis, that message, that vibe, that feeling. Because again, creatives, there's so many different kind of creatives out there. But in terms of being able to help one another, gain perspective from people who are already out there in the field, to regardless of whatever capacity that they're in, that's such a significant thing to like be able to see, because that wasn't something that's offered to a lot of people that are still coming up, and a lot of people who are even still pioneers and have been in this game way longer than either one of us have been in. So to be able to see the different people that we bring on, whether it's other people or even if it's just us, which there will be more episodes where it is just us that are coming up in the future. Hopefully there's something to take away for anyone and everyone to some capacity, whether you're just curious, whether you want to gain some more insight, whether you're already out there in the field and doing it. Hopefully there's something that does cater to you in some way where it's just like, oh, I didn't know that. Or like, wow, like I didn't think that was possible. Or wow, like I didn't think that was something that was even really possible. And how it could just have such a significant domino effect. You never actually know. And especially as in the creative world, all I can tell you is expect the unexpected. Because even this, being here, sitting here, hosting the show, essentially like partially hosting and co-hosting and interviewing with Tremo, getting to interview Boogie, getting to interview another good friend of ours, Concierto, like doing all these different things. And then even outside when we're not doing this show and we're just there bouncing ideas off each other, helping each other out, helping each other grow, sharing knowledge, all that in general, like we've all had that like-mindedness. Unfortunately, not everyone's like that, but we view it as hopefully you take away something from one or each of these episodes, or as many of them as you possibly can, and it contributes back to you in some way, shape, or form, whether it's just acquiring more knowledge, experience, perspective, something to help you better yourself in your career or broaden your horizons or make you become more open-minded. Like we wanted it to be that open, the way Radio HAVN is essentially open to that extent too. And Tremo did just that when curating this new spot. Like the transition, like the other spot, like Rage House was a vibe. Rage House was a whole
Rage
vibe.
House was definitely a vibe.
There's memories there.
Oh, for
there
sure.
There were so many fun times there. There were late nights there. Like there were times we'd go in there when it was daylight and leave when it was daylight, but it would be daylight the next day.
I mean, that's how the creative flow usually goes.
Yeah, that's my hours of operation. I work at night.
Yeah, I feel like that's usually most artists.
Yeah, I work at night. Like you catch me like when everyone else is sleeping, sun's down. No, I'm up. I'm in my office. I'm in my studio. I'm just
working on
there.
The laptop.
Yep, quite literally. And then by the time like I'm ready to clock out, sun's coming up. People are getting ready for work. Birds are chirping. I'm like, not me. Lights out. I'm good. I'll see you guys. Lunchtime. we'll reconvene at that point and call it a day. But that's for all the viewers out there. That was definitely something that I wanted, that I was important for both of us to share, as these are the foundational episodes of Radio HAVN and what is to come, what has already come from people that we've already brought on, that we definitely hope to have on again at some point in the future, and for people that we're looking to bring in too as well. So if that is something that pertains to you, or maybe someone that you might know, like, share, subscribe, comment, do all that stuff. Okay. And we'll definitely bring you a whole lot more. So look at that. I think that's a humble way to shamelessly plug on our own show.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course. Many more opportunities, many more people to bring in. I think we had a great start. These first 4 episodes, we're only on at the moment of filming, we're only on episode 4. Well, this would be like the 5th
5,
whenever this comes out. So yeah, no, it's really cool to have this platform. And I think especially here in New York, we definitely need some more platforms like this where we could put on DJs, and definitely, we want to also put artists on. We have yet to have like a performance for this. I know I did that Wildfires from Rage House, which I guess, that's kind of like an on the radar type of vibe. but we definitely want to do our own version of that as well. Right now we're doing a lot of DJs. We're bringing DJs on to do DJ sets. So that way, as a, consumer of music, you can also tap in and you could listen to DJ sets. You have a mix. You could be in your car. You could be at a party. If you don't have a DJ, you could just put these mixes on and you'll have a variety. We're trying to bring Latin music. Boogie just did a soca set. There's going to be
his bag on that one.
He did his thing. So it's just cool. And a lot of these sets too, a lot of these DJs we're bringing on are producers. So it's cool to see them mix their own remixes, mashups, and their own songs as well, that you can discover and find new music through these sets. So,
which at some point, you kind of have to. Like, you have to also do a set as well.
Oh, of course, I'm going to do my set first.
Ladies and gentlemen, he is a DJ, a producer. Again, he wears a lot of different hats. I mean, in 2026, as a creator, I would say, and maybe this is a hot take, it's a requirement to wear more than one hat.
Oh, you have to.
You quite literally have to. In order to be successful, you have to wear more than one hat. I remember back going to school, I went to Five Towns for a bit, and we went to News 12. And like, long story short, big building, very few people working in it. Like, you would think you were gonna see, like, there's a whole parking lot and everything like that. And back in the day, there used to be hundreds of people. Everybody had a camera, everybody doing this, everybody doing that, hair, makeup, this, that, and the other. There was maybe like 6 people who were on camera, like 2 anchors, a meteorologist, like 2 or 3 other people that were working on camera too as well. And then like 1 camera guy running all cameras from one room. And then like a producer, director, that was it. Versus back in the day, there was multiple different people, because eventually they figured, we could just have one person robotically controlling everything. Boom, technology just takes away a whole bunch of people. Salaries cut. Now, instead of having 15 different camera guys, you have 1 camera guy, and you just swap them in and out with another one.
This sort of taps into AI now, where even not just AI, but this is before AI. Well, of course, but this is kind of like what's happening now with AI. But even back then, as technology advanced, things get easier to do. Technology, even in the studio, I see there's always new things coming out, where you can speed up the process of recording, and just doing all these things. It's just, you could get so much done now, and you need less people. But at the same time, it still is nice to have community and a team. And I think we live in such a society where now everyone wants to do it by themselves. But it's also still important to still have a team. I think there's something special about, camaraderie and just, having multiple people a part of something, rather than just trying to take credit for something all by yourself.
There definitely needs to be more camaraderie, more community, so much more community. Because that's even before AI. AI has definitely leveled that up to a point where it's like, if you can't do this, then this, you're useless, or you're not someone that's being looked at. So now, quite literally, as we're both DJs, we're both producers, now we're worrying about, like, even just for this channel alone, not even for all the other lanes and stuff that we do outside of Radio HAVN, we gotta make content now. Okay, people that were coming up in the 80s and 90s, they weren't making content. They were out there just being good at what they do.
There was a different struggle, though.
It was a different struggle. It was still a struggle. I'm not going to say that there wasn't a struggle. There definitely was. There was a lot of different struggles. But in today's current world of what's going on today in 2026, you got to now learn how to edit, whether that be on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube Shorts, CapCut, Canva. You got to make graphic designs. You got to be appealing. You have to essentially what is known as peacocking. You have to be good at peacocking and be able to catch people's attention within 3 to 5 seconds. You have to become an IT specialist now, where before, like, technology prices gone up. Hard drives right now, through the roof. RAM, there's a shortage. You have to know how to be able to diagnose your technological problem, whether that be with your laptop, USB sticks, your DJ hardware, your production hardware, like, why is it sounding weird? All these different things you have to diagnose now, where it's like you're jam-packing all this information, where school realistically also is not enough to teach you all that, or isn't teaching you it within a sustainable period of time, where by the time you graduate, the whole world's already changed and moved on.
Well, I feel, that was one thing, I guess, bridging back to why I didn't continue at Berkeley. Is because, Like, I feel like their programs and courses, like school is just one big course. And, you know, they have their curriculum set. And as the years goes by, it's up to them to keep adapting, of course. And I'm sure they are. But a lot of these teachers that are on, you know, salary and payroll, you know, for their 30 years, they may not be keeping up with as fast as the younger generation is with this new tech coming out. So that's where you see a lot of, you know, new technology coming out, new plugins, new software. And I feel like in the schooling, they may not be keeping up as fast as, at least what I saw, you know, not downplaying Berkeley and the connects and everything you can get from that. But I saw that if you want to learn, like you said, peacocking, you gotta go get it. You know, we have ChatGPT now, we have YouTube, and all these things you have at your fingertips. But at the end of the day, the one thing you can't replace is ambition. If you don't have ambition, none of this is going to come into fruition, because you still have to be hungry and chase, you have to chase these things in order to make it happen. So, you know, like if I wanted to make this podcast happen, I was like, what do I need? What equipment I need? I got to learn it. What cameras? This, that, you know, ChatGPT, YouTube it. Even right before I'm trying to do something, I'm like, okay, how do I do this? Look, some people don't have that grit, that ambition, and that drive. And there's nothing against it, but it's just like, I guess, as you said, you know, if you do want to take part and to level up in this career where a lot of people are using technology to its advantage, you have to adapt and be quick to learn, you know?
Did you find when you were going to Berkeley, like you were moving quicker than they were?
Oh, 100%. You know, I already knew so much from just recording people. And that's another thing. Being in an industry, in the field, and doing the work is the most important part. That is where you speed ramp and learn everything. You know, if I was just like, let me just wait for this course to finish and whatever they're going to teach me at whatever rate they're going to teach me, I would have been 2-3 years out from doing everything I'm already doing. You know, and I've had interns. I have people that come to me and they're like, oh, I'm in my 3rd year of college and I know this, and this and that. But then they don't have, you know, maybe they also need to take a speaking class because they also can't speak to clients. These were audio engineers or people that wanted to be audio engineers. And then they get thrown into the field with all their credentials, but then realize it's not necessarily about that for this field specifically.
Right.
Where
that's major.
Oh, 100%. Where it's just so like, major. I was already working in high school with a bunch of, you know, rappers and R&B singers and stuff like that. And just seeing what they needed live in person, you know, and it was on my dime. I wasn't really charging. It took like 2 years. And then I started charging a little bit and working my way up. But I feel like for someone that's starting off as a producer, engineer, self-learning and just being passionate and enjoying the process for what it is, for what it is for you, because everyone's journey is different. I feel like that's key. And if you have that passion, then you can follow it up with ambition. You know, those two things I think are very important in terms of like making sure you grow in what you think you want, you know.
Was there anything useful that you could remember that you like took away from Berkeley? Also, no disrespect to Berkeley. Berkeley's obviously a great institution. We're not bashing Berkeley. This is not a bashing.
We're more so
Berkeley.
Speaking on like if you want to get things done, like you can do it at your rate. There's alternatives.
There's alternatives. Yeah. Like prime example, look at Steve Jobs. I think barely graduated high school, but
look at the success he created.
Company in the world.
And that's another thing. Well, there's two things here. Like if you want success, like you don't have to take traditional routes to get it. You know, I think, again, back to passion, back to ambition. If you want to figure out how to get something done and you want to see results within the next year or two, you need speed also. So it's just like, I want to make things happen. The room's not set up like this podcast room. You know, we still have wires everywhere and stuff like that, but let's just start. Boom, make it happen. And we develop as we go. You know, and that gets into business, you know, where it's just like, you know, if you want to make things happen, you gotta figure out how to cut some corners somewhere and make things go faster.
Quite literally another hat you have to wear. You also have to know a bit of business too as well, because from jump, you aren't going to realistically be able to afford an accountant. You're not going to know what an LLC is versus an S corp is versus trademarking versus all these different hats. All that stuff ties in together. So it quite literally is crazy.
And I think it also not just like learning all these things, but knowing what to learn. I think that's very important, because if you are just trying to learn anything and everything, it may not be the things you need at the moment or need at all to get to where you need to be. So I think that goes into planning. If you want to be, let's say, DJing at a festival, right? You kind of need to backtrack and say, okay, let me look at other DJs. Let me see what they're doing. Obviously you may not be able to see the behind the scenes just from social media and stuff like that and what actually goes into it, but you could start there and be like, okay, oh shoot, what's an EPK? Some people don't even know what an EPK is.
Yep.
So, you have to kind of understand what you need to learn. And I guess that's why, college just breaks down a course where it's just like, this is what you actually need to know. And then they also teach you. So I think it's important to have some structure in your learning. And that's also where a lot of people struggle, because you have everything at your fingertips, but it's also so much information. There's also so much misinformation as well. And it's a lot of sifting. What do I actually need? What do I learn from this guy, or do I learn from that guy, or do I learn from this girl? There's
and
just
now you
so
have
much
master classes on that too, like where people are making their own. They're like, hey, listen, we'll take 4 years of a degree, give you what you need to know, and shrink it down to this ebook that's on sale on Amazon Prime Day today.
Yep.
Like that's a thing now.
And even then, everyone's life is different. And in music and culture, everything is different. So just because something might work for this DJ or this artist may not work for that artist. I'm sure in soca versus house music, the DJs do things differently.
Very.
There's so many different things. Like, of course, there's structure and being a business owner. That's even in business in things outside of the music industry. There's a lot of things that align. But, there are different characteristics to each, I guess what I'm trying to say is there's different characteristics to each part of someone's business and growing. And that's another thing. Like, a lot of people realize, oh, I just want to be an engineer. Oh, I just want to be a producer. Oh, I just want to be an artist. But if you want to do all these things, you got to realize that you're going to be an entrepreneur, and you're going to have to run a business if you want to succeed in this. Because
and you got to find the bridges.
Of course, because you could be an artist and not have to worry about anything. But if you want to make this a career and make money and be able to sustain yourself and only do this, then you have to adapt and do all these things we were just talking about the last 20 minutes.
Quite literally.
So
I wouldn't say that I'm kind of left turn. I wouldn't say I'm a lighting design specialist. I'm not. I'm not sitting there designing light shows or anything like that. But I dabbled in it enough to a point where if I were to, if and when I reach a point where I could have my own show and I'm able to afford a lighting tech or be at a venue where there is a lighting tech, I can sit and meet with them and be like, hey, when this DJ or this performer goes on, let's do some cold washes here. We're gonna fade it into. We're gonna start with the low blue. Intensity is gonna be at about maybe a 30 to 40% range, but then from there, the buildup is gonna be a slow strobe buildup into a high intensity one, and then I want the LED panels to have these different effects on them, and then them know exactly what I'm saying, even though I'm not there to do their job, but now I'm giving them a clear cut instruction because now that community sense is built. And the bigger picture is working now versus them guessing I don't know, I just figured he's playing house music. He just wants strobes and lasers. And because why? I took the time to go down that lane and be able to communicate with them. And now that's something where my vision comes to life. Their job is made easier. My job is made easier. And then I'm also talking to the sound engineer where it's okay, for this DJ, we're going to need these amount of monitors set up over here because they have performers coming too as well. So we're going to need this amount of this amount of that. Boom. All that stuff is just still behind the scene before you even get to the actual venue. Also, the business aspect to it, where now you're sitting with, hopefully, if you've acquired a team to be able to build this up into a whole thing, whether that be an event, whether it be even something as simple as planning an episode like this, where we have to literally, we're on calls half the time during the week, back and forth to each other when we find 5 minutes or 10 minutes that turns into 20 or 30 because we're trying to cover all our grounds where it's okay, we're going to post this week. we're thinking about bringing this person in. Let's see if we can reach. Like that's still a whole thing.
Speaking of, we didn't have lunch yet.
True story. Quite literally true story. My lunch actually, just like for proof, boom. This is my lunch right here.
The run and gun lunch.
Quite literally my
Have
lunch.
it in a drink.
Yep, a little
Get your
little,
calories
little
that
belly
way.
bev. And in between while still getting business calls in between. Like
Side
that's a
note,
whole
This
thing.
this is a side note too, but one thing I think that's helped me a lot too is exercising. And I think being fit and being healthy, whatever that is for you, it's different for everyone. I think that also can play a big role into your mental health, because I feel like in this industry and any business and any industry, a strong mental state, I think, is vital to succeeding. Because if you're not strong up there, then when all these different things come into play, you're just going to want to fold. You know?
That's a hot topic. That's a steamingly hot volcano level hot topic, because that's a whole other episode in itself. I'm not gonna pour into that right now because of quite literally there's too many different angles to hit on that. But I did think about that as an idea, which comment below if you think this is something that you'd want to see, where that is something that unfortunately is not spoken about enough. Ironically, like also with being like mental health month and stuff like that. But that point right there is one of probably the most overlooked aspects in our industry. Not to say that that's not the same scenario for other industries, like outside of being a creative, whether you're a doctor, lawyer, judge, police officer, teacher, whatever the case is. Quite literally, that is something that is heavily being lacked in I mean, I want to say America. I don't know if it's worldwide, but I know that like mental health and just that alone and in general, it's hard to acquire. Like the fact that you're still able to find time amongst all the hats that you wear to still go to the gym, decompress, and just kind of have a little bit of a reset and take off the weight a little bit is pretty crazy. Because quite literally,
Oh yeah, you have to make time for it.
yeah, it's actually,
And it doesn't have
insane.
to be the gym. It doesn't, like, health is different for everybody. You know, some people have problems, you know, that are unexpected or they're born with. So, you know, I can't speak for everybody, but all I know is the gym or being active, running. I recently started running, and since I have a big swimming background, I swim sometimes. You know, doing those things and you know, staying active. For me, that's what's healthy. I don't eat the best, I will say, but I have chosen to eat healthier recently, I guess like a month or two ago, and I've noticed huge changes in my life. You know, it's like you fuel up a NASCAR with bad gas, it's just not gonna
It's
perform.
not gonna go.
So same goes for the body and just everything that a human needs to succeed.
And it's so tough. And that was actually a transitional thing too, because I remember that was something that like when you came here, that was something that you were describing. Like what's different about Radio Haven that wasn't necessarily there with Rage House is that sense of zenness. So that way it feels even more less like work. And it's just something where it's also contributing back to just it being a little bit lighter, more peaceful. Because again, so many things are out of our control. So many things can pop up, whether it's something that started from early or something that happens throughout the day. Life be lifing. That's the bottom line. Life be lifing. You never know what's going to happen at any given point in time. So there's really never a way to be fully prepared for it. The best you can do is really brace for it as best as possible with the left turn so that could pop up. But that in itself, that's an episode that's coming. That's an episode that I definitely want to happen, because I think that's something that hopefully a lot of people could benefit from. And even present day, like I'll be honest, don't remember the last time like your boy had time for himself. Like quite literally, I think time to myself is probably like me just showering. That's like that's my me time right now. Just I get my shower. I'm just like, please don't, like my phone don't ring. No one texts me. Let me just bathe and just cleanse myself to be prepared for the next wave that's to come.
You know, it's funny you say that time for yourself. I actually struggled with that a little bit because when I was working other jobs and obviously I started this right out of high school, which is when your life kind of starts and you get hit with a lot of things and you're growing up. Music was kind of like my freedom and my outlet, right? But now it's my career and it's my job and it's my business that I'm doing every day. So it becomes interesting because I'm already doing it every day. So now it's like I almost need another outlet to get away from it, even though it's something I love. Because some days there's times where you don't want to create, and it's okay. It's okay to not create. And, that actually helps you create better when you do create, so it's like you also have to find, and if like for me, music was everything, that was my outlet. Now it's just like I replaced that with the gym because I made that my career, so I feel like that's another thing. Like for most people, I would say our industry, being able to be an artist, DJ, and partake in music as a career, that's kind of like a blessing.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, we're making music for a living.
Yeah.
Whether we're making it, playing it, distributing it, like it's a blessing. Like how can we be upset? Even on our like worst days, like of course, like, financials come into it and there's other things and work is work. And now we're DJing somewhere and we don't want to maybe do this gig or do that or work with this client because they're hard to deal with. But at the end of the day, we're making music. We figured out how to make this a part of our career or our career. And, it's pretty cool what we get to do.
It sure is. And speaking of making music, I feel like everyone deserves a little bit more of an insight because you're a creator in many ways, but you have made and released music that the world needs to know. So what is out? What can people hear? Like we need to see if maybe we can acquire some new TREMO fans on there too as well. So let's talk production. Let's talk DJing. What's going on with that? What's been released? What's coming up? Any collabs to expect? Let's shed some light on that.
All right. So right now, what I have out right now is just whatever I've produced, which I'm trying to gather my thoughts, but I have a tech house song right now that's out called Body. I have an Afro house song that's called LOTP, which is short for Life of the Party. I have another Afro house track, which is a little bit on the heavier side, with Farico, which is 20 Tengara. And we're going to talk about that.
Say it again.
20 Tengara.
You say it better than him.
Yeah, I do.
You do.
Yes.
I'm calling it out there. You say it better than him.
He's learning now. He's learning Swahili. But yeah, I mean, to get back off that, I am diving into a lot of different music and, I'm still kind of finding where my foot is, but so far I love producing house music and all types of house music. So, you're going to hear Latin house for me. You're going to hear tech house. You're going to hear Afro house. I kind of want to be a chameleon. I think as an artist, everyone kind of wants to put you in a box. They kind of want to say, oh, I like your Afro house, only play Afro house. Or, oh, I like your tech house, why don't you do more tech house? And I kind of, probably up until recently, struggled with the idea of just sticking to one. But I'm able to produce all types of music, even R&B, hip hop. That's a lot of what I record in the studio and work on with artists. So I guess to answer your question, I will be releasing a lot of different music. I'm working on a dancehall / house EP. We might do a couple singles with videographer Hakeem, DreamX. Shout out to DreamX. They do great work. So, I'm doing that. I just, from Boogie Ranks, now we're doing Soca House. We're kind of figuring out a new genre where I'm blending house music and he's bringing in his soca elements, which is pretty cool. And
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, no, it's just really cool. I'm trying to make music that I think is new, refreshing, hasn't been heard before. I'm not necessarily trying to copy anyone. I kind of just make music to what I feel, what comes, and just open up my, I guess, my heart to different cultures and just to learn different sounds, different instruments. And it's been a ride for sure. I'm still finding myself musically. I think that's something that will be forever, evolving. And, we'll see where it goes from there. But yeah, there's definitely new music coming out soon. I do plan on releasing. I did take a break for a little bit just because I've been doing so many other things, opening up this studio, the podcast, finances become an issue sometimes, but we getting through it.
We're getting through it. And especially with summer being the way summer is right now and just kind of being it's a New York summer.
It is a New York summer.
I'm calling that.
Knicks won.
I don't care what anyone says. It's a New York summer. Okay. Y'all thought 2016 was crazy. 2026. Yeah, no, it's a New York summer. If there was a place to be, it's New York. Knicks just won. Juneteenth just was there. There's Pride.
So much going on.
Van Wyck is apparently almost done. Or I heard it's complete, but I haven't been on there yet. So I'll believe that when I see it. When there's no more
less traffic.
When there's no more construction on there, I'll believe it. I feel like JFK would finish before
probably
the Van Wyck. I don't know, but
JFK has been under construction for forever.
Nah, LaGuardia was under construction for forever. Now JFK is a little bit more recent of a start of a project. They were talking about it for a while, but they didn't officially start. Now they've actually already officially started, which is why it's crazy navigating over there. But that's also because it's going to be a longer and bigger project because they're an international airport. So that's going to be a whole thing. I just hope for someone like us who we're quick to grab our passports and carry-ons and
100%.
We are so quick to do that.
I'll be out in Bali in August. I'm excited for that. So excited for that.
Listen, if there's somebody in Bali watching, just you know who needs to be there. Okay? He'll be there.
I will definitely be there.
He will definitely like to go back. I would definitely like to make my way over there. So any people in Bali,
a group trip there. Maybe we do a Radio HAVN podcast over there.
The only problem I have with Bali is I'd probably forget to come home.
Yeah.
From what I've seen, I don't imagine it being a very easy thing for me to be like, I guess it's time to pack my bags. But that's also most vacations. I'm just like, But if it was up to me, I'd probably live out of a jet, just popping around left and right. But jet fuel, gas prices, maintenance on a jet, let alone a plane. Yeah, no, that's a different tax bracket that I haven't seen just yet. But
sometimes you could travel on a budget. You don't have to travel with the glitz and the glamour and everything.
There are creatives out there actually that live like the nomad life. I want to say it's nomad life, like the nomadic style where it's like very minimal. They like backpackers.
Oh yeah, you could stay in hostels and it's very cheap.
Yeah, and then
everyone's finances are different, but for the most part,
and then you
don't have to be spending $6,000 and all this and all that.
Yeah, like the most is realistically just flying. It's like you fly to Europe, but Europe is such a big.
Your flight should be the most expensive.
And then you're just bopping about like left and right and center. So like I've thought about that.
Especially when you have a team.
Oof.
You have 5 people booking Airbnb. Your nights are way cheaper.
But finding those people again, finding your community, finding the community though.
Yeah, you have to find the right group of people to do that with, for sure.
Like quite literally finding like a sense of community that where the envisionment, the envisionment, the interest, the desire, the ambition, like they fall in line close enough to a point where it's like, okay, yeah, let's do this. And like, let's venture out into this. And we'll invest like maybe at least 6 months to a year minimum as a baseline. Finding the needle in the haystack, almost the equivalency. And
sometimes you just got to do it yourself though. And people will see what you're doing. And then they're going to be like, oh, I need to hop on.
Quite literally.
I think you need to pave your way and you need to take action first and then show people that you're taking action. And then the hard part is selecting the right people that want to join, because a lot of people will then want to hop on the bandwagon, but you got to make sure you're selecting the right people, because then they could slow you down, or they're just there to try to grasp on, but then have nothing to bring to the table.
Those are some of the harder lessons I remember like early on having to like pick up, where it was just like not everybody like Oh man, I think the best way to put this, and I always mess this quote up, even though I've seen it 1,000 times. I always mess it up, but it's just such a significant quote. There was an award that Tyler Perry was accepting, and basically he said, there are some people that are meant to be in your life for a season. Not everyone that comes into your life is meant to be there forever. That doesn't make you or them a bad person. It's just some people were only literally meant to be there for a season. Just like, and he uses the metaphor of a rocket. When a rocket starts on the ground and makes its way into outer space, it has all these boosters and extra rockets on it to help it push past certain atmospheres, lithosphere, stratosphere, metasphere, until it gets into space. And eventually, as it casually passes through, other pieces of the rocket fall off because it doesn't need them anymore to get to certain altitudes. So some of those rockets that are falling off are like people. Doesn't make you a bad person, doesn't make them a bad person. It just means that you guys weren't necessarily meant to end at the same goal together, which is fine. The hard part about that is the acceptance part, because like you want to be able to see as many people as you can grow and glow with you. And it might not always look like you guys hitting the finish line together or the longevity part together. So that's something that I saw that and I was like, wow, I didn't know if I was ready to hear that, but it's an ongoing life lesson of acceptance that will constantly be tried and told again and again and again and again until this day, still being tried and tested. And I can't imagine it stopping anytime soon, even after like, I guess either one of us hit a point of like retirement and trying to see what that looks like.
I mean, that's like you're as strong as the weakest chain in the link.
Oof.
You know,
we just dropping the hard ones out there.
I mean, it's true.
It really is. Again, that's like they all just hit. They all just hit. But these are the things that like people might not think about. There are so many people I'm just like, they're like, oh, I want to be a DJ too. And I'm just like, oh yeah, like what do you like to spin, whatever. Like, I just want to be, famous. And I'm just like, you need to know that there's an ugly side to this
100%.
too. There's a side that you're gonna want to break your laptop in half.
Oh yeah, there's
a side,
snakes. There's a lot of people after you.
There's a side where you're gonna be getting undercut. There's a side where stuff's not gonna work out your way. Like there's gonna be a lot of brutality into this. And it's like, at the end of the day,
but that's what builds you.
Do we love what we do? Wholeheartedly. It doesn't feel like a job. I love being a DJ. I love producing. Is it a lot of work? Yes. Immensely a lot of work. Does it bring a lot of joy?
People just think we push buttons.
And the knobs are like 1,000 degrees. And we're just like, and it's just like, there's so many different stereotypes out there, but those in the field will have a bit of a better understanding and their own creative opinion and on the industry itself, which everyone's entitled to.
Yeah.
But the overall reality is it's hard work. And it takes a lot of dedication. Hence why we're here. Okay, this is what's going on. Quite literally, like it's literally just us here. The past few episodes, TREMO's behind, switching cameras, making sure lighting's right, making sure audio sounds good. And right now he's answering.
I'm switching
and
right
he's
now.
Switching back and forth.
I'm switching on the phone with Stream Deck.
The Radio Haven. This is the foundation of Radio Haven. Hopefully there's an extra camera person, extra producer, like where it's a little bit more balanced out, but you got to start from somewhere to get somewhere, like eventually a team does build. So this is the raw, authentic side. We're not sugarcoating it. This is quite literally what's going on to give you a real in-depth inside view of what's to come, what's going on, what we hope to acquire and be able to give to you guys in the future. But before we do wrap it up, you guys, I mean, listen, it's not about me right now. TREMO, we need socials. We need what's coming up. We need what to expect. The people we already told them that they're going to see you again. There will be points in times where we might give you an update on different things. There might be times where it's just us yapping about different stuff that maybe we came across that we're just like, we need to share this with the listeners. And so much more to come. But I'm not going to reel it all the way. In case some stuff you're just going to have to wait and see. Patience is a virtue. It's a very, very great tool to have. If you don't have much patience, buy some, find some, acquire some, practice it. Patience will be one of the most useful tools in being successful. But where can they find you? What's coming up? Where are you playing? Run it down. Plug it all in there.
All right. So you can find me at tremomusic.com. All my socials are there, so it's easy for you if you want to find my YouTube, my Spotify, my SoundCloud, so forth. I upload YouTube mixes every once in a while. I will be doing a Radio HAVN set. That's going to be coming very soon. I don't know what genre I'm going to choose. It'll be house related, but I'm not sure what. I'll probably do a few over time as time passes. My Instagram, TREMO Music, same as my TikTok. You could find me on YouTube at TREMO Official. Couldn't get TREMO Music. I believe it's TREMO Official. So you could find me there. Again, you could find me on my website. That's probably the best place. That's where I show all my upcoming events, my mixes, biography, and anything else you would want to find there, tremomusic.com.
All right. Well, once again, thank you for coming in front of the camera and not just being behind it. So round of applause to you. Okay. Round of applause there. Yes.
Applaud yourself.
Yeah. Applaud yourself, man. Applaud yourself.
We'll be here often.
Pat yourself on the back.
Talking about different things, different topics.
Yeah. There's too many topics for us to talk about to just condense down into one episode, because then we would put the Harry Potter series out of its misery, because we would be able to put more.
Oh yeah. We could be here all day.
Yeah. We all day, all night into the next day and the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And quite literally. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't done so already, you are doing something very wrong. Like, share, subscribe, follow us on all the socials. We are on YouTube. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. We are on quite literally all the major platforms that there is. Spotify too as well. We're on Spotify. Okay. There's so many different platforms to follow us on. So make sure that you do so. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. And guess what? Here's the biggest thing that I feel like a lot of people overlook. And listen to me very closely when I say this. All of those ways to do those different things, they are completely free. Support does not always look like a GoFundMe. It doesn't always look like I have to go pay it. No. Quite literally, sometimes just sharing the word, sharing the message goes a long way. That right there in itself, easy, free of charge. And you'd be surprised how that domino effect helps them, grow, progress, and there can be more things to come. Even if it doesn't necessarily pertain to you and whatever it is that you do in life, it is greatly appreciated. So with that, I strongly say thank you to each and every single one of you that take the time to watch, to listen, to share, subscribe, comment. And if you made it this far, an even bigger thank you. We appreciate you each and every single time, and we can't wait to bring you guys more episodes each and every single week. And with that being said, I have been your host yet again, DJ McLovin. Hope to see you guys again real soon on the next one. Radio HAVN, we are out of here. Peace.